House Show, the show focused on the business, the culture, the history that is house music. Thanks everyone for tuning in on another Wednesday night. Tonight in studio, I'm honored to have with me special guest DJ Terry James, who just added a uh, rousing kickoff to tonight's show, and he heated up the decks, made them nice and toasty for us. How did that feel, Terry?
Feel good to me. Hope it feels good to everybody.
Very good, very good. We are honored to have Terry, and along with me here in studio is our super duper producer. Where you at, Lauren Lowry?
I'm on the.
Yeah, pull up a chair, sit down, and let's kick off this discussion. The origin stories of DJ Terry James. Sure, you are all waiting to hear a little bit more about this good brother. He has certainly been around and in this thing called house for a mighty long time. So as we begin the show, we're going to have Lauren, our executive producer, kick us off.
I didn't know I was going to be doing all that talking today. Can everyone hear me? But so I don't want the thing, but I'm happy to be here. The camera's over here. What up, people? What's happening? What's happening, WNUR? I haven't been on air in a little while, so happy to be here with you, Terry. We're very excited
My
that
pleasure.
You're here. So I'm going to do this. Oh, wow. You got me on a thing too. Great. So what is that? This one? This happened in 2001, the Architects of House. And
I can't
Terry,
hear you on
yeah, Terry Hunter put together this list, I guess with his team, put together this list of people. I guess, I don't know which way to go. So this list of people, we may have to put it on the big shot. Yeah. And, we've been trying to unpack this ever since. Who are some of these people? So we've interviewed Saul Amato. We've interviewed Saul Amato. We've interviewed Lionel Brazil on this list. And we were really excited to see your name on that list. When someone called you, tell me what happened. Did someone call you and say, hey, someone's having something, putting together this list of the Architects of House and we want you to be on it? Or how did you find out that this list was being prepared and you were on it?
Yeah, it was more or less an invitation to come and fellowship with these brothers and sisters who've been at the forefront of pushing the house agenda, moving it forward. So, yeah, it's an honor in being acknowledged to contribute to the movement. So,
got it. So when you got there, you saw all these wonderful people.
Yeah.
What did you feel? Did you feel like, yeah, I belong in this group? Like this is my group, or there were some stars there? Are you intimidated by people like sort of in the movement? Because I would have been like, look, there's, what I'm saying. I'm weird that way, but what would you have done?
No, I'm not intimidated at all.
You're like, no.
I'm highly confident, and everyone has a piece of the pie in terms of what they bring to the table, and whether your name is on that list or not, it doesn't lessen the value you've added to the movement if you've been around and been contributing. So don't let that intimidate you if you're not involved in that picture or your name wasn't called. If you've been doing your thing, you appreciate it. So.
And that's kind of why we do the show, because again, there are no dancers on that list. You know what I mean? There's some people off that list, but we're really proud of the people who did make that list. And I think that all of their stories should be told in a way that's unique, like here on the Vintage House Show. So that's why you have it here. So, Kevin will move it forward, but talk to me quickly. We like a Chicago story. We begin with history. So we want to get a sense of where you were born, where you grew up, where you were raised, when you went to high school, went to grammar school. Give us all of that. That's important. That's critical in Chicago.
Sure. I was born in Chicago. I went to Warren, probably the number one school for Chicago DJs.
Number one school.
Some of the best DJs in Chicago came out of Warren. over there on 93rd and Jeffrey.
Uh-huh.
I've lived abroad. I lived West Coast, East Coast, lived in Europe, lived in Evanston, lived in obviously Chicago. So I've been around, traveled a lot, been to a lot of places. So that's kind of like my take on the music. I've been influenced by so many variables in my life that makes me who I am in terms of what I present, as far as how I represent myself and my perspective on things. So it's good to get outside these borders.
So first, of course, we still got to go back.
Yeah.
We still got to go back again. Okay. Because you said you went to the official grammar school of the DJs.
Yeah, I'm going to claim that. I'm going to claim Warren as the number one grammar school for Chicago DJs. We have some big heavy hitters that came out of Warren.
Okay, so you got to run it down because I don't think we've ever had anybody say that. So that's why we got to tell you stories because no one's ever said that.
Oh yeah.
So 93rd. Wait a minute. First of all, where is Warren again?
93rd Jeffrey.
93rd and Jeffrey.
Yep. 92nd is some odd number. I could just call it 93rd and Jeffrey.
You know where that is? Where have I been? Okay, go ahead. You run down this list because we're going to have a Warren.
Oh, if I miss somebody, they're going to kill me. All right, but I can just talk about my class. Yeah, Sada Baha.
What year did you come out of grammar school, by the way?
Oh, shoot. I think that was, 81, 82 or something like that.
You're about my age, yeah. So that's not true.
Yeah. So you got Sada. Josanna went to Warren.
Josanna Sido.
I'm questioning you.
Yeah. Steve Maxwell went to Warren.
Steven, love to Josanna, by the way. Black Terry's boys.
Yeah, they're all cool people.
Okay, but wait a minute. Okay, so Josanna
said, "Oh, yeah."
Steve Maxwell.
Steve Maxwell.
Sada. Yeah, Sada. I think
Terry James.
Well, yeah.
Back in.
I want to say Darius Cheese. I'm quite sure, and I don't know if Derek Brown went there or not, but he was definitely in the clique, so to speak. So I'm missing so many people that come out of that. But in my mind, I'm claiming it. I welcome anybody to challenge it. Warren Grammar School represents the most popular Chicago house DJs. Now what?
He put it down. All right. So everybody in the comments, drop your grade school, your grammar school, your elementary school, because we just opened that door with DJ Terry James. I'm going to say, I thought Josanna spent some time at my grammar school alma mater, which was St. Clotilde at some point. I know he knows a lot of people from St. Clotilde, so I don't know if that was because he went there or he just was connected like that. St. Clotilde is 84th in Calumet. Shout out to E Smooth, friend of the show. He, Eric Miller, attended St. Clotilde with me. He was a few years younger. But we want to go ahead and move it up. What high school did you go to?
I went to Corliss on 103rd.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Corliss. What other DJs came out of Corliss High School?
Other than myself, someone who's still around and making noise is Mickey Calvin.
DJ Mickey Calvin was just on the show with our co-host, Lori Branch. Lori's tuned in. Thanks for tuning in, Lori. We're missing you here in studio. But Mickey was on.
Yeah.
That was a couple of weeks ago.
That was the 1st of April. The first week of April before.
Yep.
Yeah, he does his thing. Yep.
Shout out Mickey Calvin. Good dude as well. And so the rest of you Corliss DJs, you got to check in with us here on the Vintage House Show so we can get you on as well.
Yeah.
So from Corliss, were you discovering the music then, or was there some other stop in your journey that helped you become the house DJ that you are today?
Well, I started DJing, when I say DJing, having my own equipment, mixer and all, in 1982. Okay. So we went down to Oriental Electronics and finally got me some equipment that I've been praying for I didn't get the 1200s, but I did get the SLB 100s belt driven.
The belt drives. What was the address? Do you remember that? Because Oriental Electronics was
that was on Randolph.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
And there was a steakhouse. Ronnie's Steakhouse was next door. I know it's nearby.
Yeah, right across the street.
Yeah. So who took you there? How'd you know about it?
So
what motivated you to even go?
A couple of my homies around the way. Shout out to Steve Philpott, my boy Boo, and a couple of more people. We had took interest into the DJing culture, and that was probably my first introduction from a real structured perspective, and kind of grew from there. So,
and were you bringing that equipment home to practice in your basement, or did you have a mobile setup? How did that look?
Yeah, I started off with one turntable and a mixer.
Okay.
So
was your other source a cassette deck, or
no? Literally,
you did it all with that one turntable.
Figured it out from there.
Nice.
You know, my mother had a component turntable that didn't have a pitch on it. You know, it didn't have any speed adjustments or nothing. And I had one turntable, it was a Fisher turntable with a pitch. No. Yeah. And then I got the SLB 100, and I had a Gemini mixer.
Okay.
And it had a knob to fade.
Yes.
And I used to put my turntable and mixer next to her component turntable and control the speed by putting my fingers on the spindle thing in the middle.
Yeah. To
tighten it up or let it loose. Yeah, that was how I started, really.
You still got fingerprints left? As you wear them down. I mean, these are the stories of how resourceful like yourself have been, and the evolution.
It drives innovation, man. Necessity. You got to figure it out
by any means necessary. So once you had this equipment now, you're practicing. You're working on getting all the components in place. What was your first? Do you remember your first ever paid gig?
First ever paid gig. I want to say was when I DJ'd in my high school for the seniors little party they had.
Senior dance.
I wasn't a senior. I was a sophomore, but we ended up spending there at the high school.
The Corliss Gym. The first party for Terry James.
Yeah.
And was house music the dominant music at the time? There was
it was.
Or did you play a little bit of R&B, a little bit of hip hop?
It was all house as I knew it at that time.
Sure.
And that was a very limited perspective. But I come to know and broaden my horizons once I started venturing out. But up to that point, my influences were mainly the radio stuff that you hear, WBMX stuff,
of course.
Maybe sometimes B96 depending. And went through all the punk rock and new wave phases and all the cultural aspects of house, the fashion and all that. But
I love it.
My eyes
Somebody else that acknowledged the fashion part of house music.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah. So that was a stepping stone. And one of the seniors came up to me and asked me, you asked me about certain songs. I'm like, no, I don't have that. No, I never heard of that. And then soon after that, that's when I was introduced to the underground scene.
Okay.
And
tell us about
things really got interesting there in terms of me understanding where this can really go to musically and how much I didn't know at the time.
Because radio had been your primary influence on what you were playing and buying even. Right. Where'd you buy from?
Metro Music.
On 87th? Or
it was one on 103rd.
103rd,
and my mother would, I would also go to Loop Records and Imports.
Yeah.
But I started with my mother's collection. because I was only child, so in order to entertain myself, sometimes I would just go play her records, and we talking stuff like the Platters and the Spinners, and, way back then. So
solid R&B.
As a kid, I'm playing these records, so I already had a healthy appetite for music by the time I got my DJ equipment.
Okay, all right. And so you talked about, you started from a place of pretty solid footing in terms of musicality, and then you were influenced and inspired by what you were hearing from like the Hot Mix 5 and the folks on B96 and everything radio oriented. Talk about your own club experiences. What venues did you venture into and ultimately get to play at?
Yeah, so I think once I got into the understanding the underground scene a little bit more and getting more ingrained in that, which happened to start at the Music Box, 326 Lil Wack and Ron Hardy, rest in peace. That's where my drive, my appetite, I became more diverse in my collection of music. It wasn't so limited to what now the radio was playing. All the things maybe that they weren't playing, everything was up for grabs.
Okay.
So that influenced me a lot, and it really shaped my perspective on music overall, and saying that, hey, house is not just this thing. It's not a limited thing with these walls and ceilings around it. It's depending on how you play it and introduce it in a setting, whether it's underground or a more commercial type space. House is forever evolving. It's forever growing. It is a perspective, and it's not just a destination. Things you collect on your journey that you make house. Because there are a lot of those songs were R&B songs. I can play jazz songs, fusion, and all those contribute to the house genre. These were not particularly house songs that were made for house.
They weren't intentionally house music.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. But we incorporated them into
our sets. Yeah.
That's a powerful perspective, because the whole notion of genres, in my opinion, right, is to help us communicate about the music or anything, right? But in particular, we're talking about genres of music. It's how we can help people be familiar with what we're describing, right? And putting it in a box. But the fact of the matter, and what I hear you saying, is that the fusion is also a part of what makes house music house music.
Yeah, I think so. I think labels can be dangerous sometimes. I just like to look at it as good music. It doesn't have to be made in somebody's basement and where they had a keyboard and some machine, a drum machine, to call it a house, or to be accepted. I should rather say accepted by house. Good music is good music, and go from there. And that realm is larger than what you would call the house genre. So good music.
That's fair. We're gonna leave that there for a moment, and pivot a little bit around this notion of DJing as a craft.
Yeah.
Because if you take it as a practice and a craft, and with knowledge of good music, right, you can create maybe even new genres. But I'm curious about your thoughts about DJing as a craft, almost like musicianship, right? People consider turntables in the decks that we have, the digital decks we have today, as instruments. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Your imagination is your limitation. So as far as you can conceive it and believe it and imagine it, there's no ceiling to that. You can incorporate all types of things to, enhance your presentation. you can paint with many brushes. You just don't have to be stagnant and just do the monotonous same thing that the other 100 or so DJs are doing at that time. I mean, I don't stand out for the sake of standing out. I stand out because that's personally how I feel I am. I'm just being me. And I don't like to conform when it comes to the music.
Yes.
So I like to keep it open, stay flexible, and let it take you to where it goes, basically.
So it's interesting you say that. As those of you who may just be tuning in may have missed Terry's set, but he closed it out with a piece by Vic Lavender, right? And I know Vic is he's very much of that same school of thought, even though we haven't had him on the show in a minute because he missed out on an opportunity we had. So we're gonna have him back. Maybe we'll have you back with Vic, and you both can go and talk about this in greater detail. But that song that you played was a good example, I think, of taking the music in different directions. And
he's definitely good for that.
I give Vic kudos.
It's good for the culture. So help us all grow and not stay in the same place.
Absolutely. And so speaking of growth and your expansion of your DJing, you indicated when Lauren kicked the conversation off that you've been East Coast, West Coast, Europe. Talk about what the influences of being in those different geographic regions has had on your spinning and your style of DJing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because the way I grew up or just being me, basically growing up as a child. I'm like a sponge wherever I go. And it's funny, I don't like to go to those places in groups. I prefer when I travel. I'm kind of weird like this. I like to travel alone.
Okay.
And I don't want to go to the tourist spots. I want to resonate with the people. I want to really become local, involved with the local things and not the big, giant, massive commercial traps that are out there for the tourists. So I'm a natural learner, people person, nature lover, all that. And I can find beauty in music in any genre, whether it's house, disco, classical, country. I can take it and make it part of me and take it with me. So
you can spin with songs from those various genres.
So everything for me is not about spinning.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
All the when it comes to me, you believe it or not,
musical consumption.
Most of the time I listen to music.
Yes.
I would say almost 90% of the time I listen to music is something else. I don't listen to a lot of dance or house music on the regular. If I'm at a function, of course, if I'm DJing somewhere, of course, if I'm trying to search for new tunes, what we call digging in the crates and all that at a record store, absolutely. Yes. But I spend red grooves, I spend disco, I spend classic, I spend new music. That's probably about 10 to 15% of me. The rest of me listening to something else.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that doesn't have an influence on my my take when I DJ in somewhere, but it's not just about the DJ part. I'm more of I consider myself a musical person, not just a DJ.
That I receive that, and I'm sure our audience receives that well. Certainly drop in a comment for DJ Terry James here on the Vintage House Show. If you got one for Terry, he's definitely illuminating himself and making it all known. And that's one of the important objectives of the Vintage House Show, is to have people share their first person narratives so that you own it, right? You own it and you're able to share it. We're not telling it for you. So what I think would be even more revealing is, what is your aspiration for continuing in this genre and doing this thing that we call spinning or DJing?
I think that as we continue to move this thing forward, having more open-minded people to help push it at a broader level. Um, Things like the Vintage House Show. This is great. You're providing an opportunity for people like myself and others who are probably unsung to some degree, but to also tell their own narrative versus someone else, and with lights and cameras saying, "This is house. This is what it was meant to be. This is how it came about." We all was around at this primarily around the same time, roughly around the same time.
Roughly, sure.
You know what I'm saying? So no one owns this, and a lot of time the person with the biggest platform gets to tell the story. I'm not saying that's totally wrong, but you need to look at it from other perspectives and let it tell itself. So
very very wise perspective, and again, I think that's well received, certainly by me, and appreciate your appreciation of Vintage House and the work we're putting in here. But it is it's work of passion, so it's not really work. We enjoy talking to pioneers, icons, contributors, people who've made a difference. So when you joined us this evening, we had you do a set on the decks behind us here. I'm curious about what your transition was like, moving from that belt drive turntable to the digital decks.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, trying to learn how to spin and perfect it, which will never happen. It's a journey, not a destination. The premier equipment to have were Technique 1200s.
Yes.
And I remember somebody got a pair in my neighborhood, and we would do whatever we can to stay cool with this cat so we can get invited to go spin on his 12s. And we'd literally be kind of waiting in line, like, is it my turn? Yeah, is it my turn? Yeah. And once we got on it, it lived up to all those expectations that we ever had. And of course, once you got your own, and they last forever. Just on my third or fourth pair.
Yeah.
So, but that was the thing. And then later it became about the mix, what kind of mixture you got and all that stuff. So the music, the records, just always.
Do you still have a record collection? Vinyl?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got plenty of records.
All right. Yeah. Did you do a lot of the transference of those to digital files yourself, or did you just go?
I'm so lazy, if I can find it online.
Yeah.
I sometimes I just pay for it.
Yeah.
Download it
again.
Yeah. Versus trying to record it myself and all that, because it'll take forever.
Many of us are in that camp. For sure. But did you have difficulty,
transitioning?
Learning on the digital decks.
I was against it in the beginning.
You fought it.
Yeah, because I was accustomed to I came from a school of, you play records on turntables. This is how you do it. This is how you
right.
And you put your blood, sweat, and tears in, and you would get a gig one day and play somewhere. It's not just going to be handed to you.
And lost some fingerprints along the way, right?
But now, it's like microwave. You go to Walmart, get you some equipment or a controller, and you out there. So, but yeah, I just came up differently in the culture. That's all. Yeah, nothing personal. I just came up differently.
Yeah, there's no judgment. Just curious about what the journey entailed and what it looked like as you've reached this stop, right? Because you said, like you said, it's not a final destination. But what is next for Terry James? I mean, where can our audience hear you play? Is there an online venue, a physical venue?
Yeah, I have mixes on all of the major platforms. You can hear me live every third Thursday at President's. Vic Live.
President's Lounge?
On third Thursdays, yeah. Vic and I have a party, an event rather, for the past. This will be our 9th one. We started back in 2013, but COVID and everything kind of shut things down for a little while. But we host a party called Day to Night.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to having that again this year on July 9th at the Harbor, 59th Street Harbor.
Nice.
So just continue to move that forward and improve that.
Give us that date again, July 9th, and location.
Yeah. Is at the Museum Shores Yacht Club at 59th Street Harbor.
Yeah.
It's a ticketed event. So you have to either contact myself or Vic.
All right.
To attend that. But yeah.
Tell Vic to come on down
or
up here to the Vintage House
make sure
show.
He holler at y'all.
Get him in here, and he can talk about the event as well.
Yeah.
What would you like to leave our audience with as we close out and get ready for the next Street Beat show?
Just more shout out and inspiration to all the DJs that are out there in Chicago, that supporting the scene, contributing in their own special way.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes your names don't get mentioned and all that, but you appreciate it. We see you, we hear you, so keep it going, stay strong.
Love that. That. Shout out to not only the DJs but the artists,
absolutely, the whole culture, the dancers,
right? The dancers,
and
promoters.
equipment people. That.
Yeah,
all that matters.
We absolutely recognize and indeed see you. Thanks for stopping by the Vintage House Show.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
It's been a pleasure having you, and like I said, you're welcome back anytime here with either myself, our super duper executive producer Lauren Lowry, or our other host, our co-host DJ Lori Branch, who, by the way, is going to be performing at this year's Chosen Few Festival. And certainly she'll be back in studio before then. But we are excited about lots going on around Chicago. It's summertime shy, y'all. So make sure you stay tuned with the Vintage House Show to hear about all the happenings. Certainly June 23rd, City of Chicago, their house music conference on the 23rd, the panel discussions on the 24th, the performances in Humboldt Park. Make sure you mark your calendars and check it out. But we'll be back next Wednesday for more of the Vintage House Show. For now, it's your main man Mega signing off. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone be safe out there and enjoy the greatest city in the world, Chicago. Take care. Stay tuned for a little behind the scenes as we close out here in studio. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
We saw you on television.
Oh my God! We got a television star.
We got a TV star. I was like, TV. Hey, Sleepy lives on Jeopardy, which was a WNUR shout out. Yeah. Very nice.
I always forget that I did that, and then the people are like, "Oh my God, I saw you." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did do that."
On the plane yesterday, I saw you do that. Can't go anywhere. We got to take pictures. So proud of you. Say hello to people. You're still on, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. I've been doing a little IG live. Somebody wanted to know what clubs you spun at in this 80s. So talk to the stay right there. Talk to the camera about where you in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Oh, it's not.
That
That was just yesterday. Come on now.
See, I spun at clubs. It wasn't really known as a serious underground club, but it was a club. Beverly House. Yeah, and Beverly was like on 130 something. Huh?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was one spot. And then I went away to college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to SIU.
Was there party here?
Actually, I worked at the radio station and WIDB. Shout out to all DJs there.
See what I mean? The college scene was
several parties. Yeah.
Instrumental.
Oh yeah. They had our own culture, did our own thing there. Plus, we had fashion after the Hot Mix 5. We had our own 5 or 6 DJs for the radio station. Yeah. Shout out to all y'all.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead and name drop a little bit.
Yeah, you got Danielle Spencer, Boogie, which is Boogie D, James Jones, a few more people. I can't remember everybody, but oh, he's the dude. Yeah.
No girlfriend. There's no.
Not on that group, but there was definitely other contributors after us.
Well, we're gonna power down.
Yep.
Take the pictures in a little bit.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. No, thank you for that. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Straight from a Jeopardy appearance. Let's go.